Avatar, a giant international blockbuster, used the papyrus font as its logo.
Avatar, Avatar, Avatar. What are we gonna do with you? The highest grossing movie of all time. An absolute sensation that blew audiences away when it released in 2009. One of the coolest and most immersive theater-going experiences for a lot of people, with maybe the most iconic use of 3D ever put into a movie. It was a phenomenon. And then the years went on, and nobody really talked about it anymore. And then around, I don't even know, 2017, 2018-ish, I think, we started getting memes that went like, hey, remember Avatar? The highest grossing movie of all time? Can you name a single character or line of dialogue from the movie? And that kind of became the dominant discussion about Avatar. Its lack of real cultural staying power. Now, I for one don't want to dismiss what a phenomenon Avatar inarguably was, nor do I want to claim that a movie needs cultural impact or memorable quotes or memes in order to be good. I mean, I can't remember any quotes from The Tale of the Princess Kaguya off the top of my head, and that's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Not every movie needs to be quotable in order to leave an impact or an impression on you, and I think it's ridiculous to assume that Avatar doesn't have a ton of fans. They probably just didn't feel like bringing it up or discussing it all the time. They're like the opposite of Babylon fans. I think it's pretty clear that the Avatar fan base never really died out, just by the fact that the sequel, released 13 years later, also became one of the highest grossing films of all time. And this is in an era where movie theaters famously were not doing too high. So yeah, I for one do not want to dismiss the fans of Avatar that very clearly exist. I'm personally thrilled a completely original IP caught on with so many people at the box office. And it's great that so many people connected with this world and this story. So now that I've firmly established that I don't subscribe to the no cultural impact mindset, and I acknowledge that so many people love this movie to this day, let me now explain why I don't. I'm sorry, I really tried, but the second I put this movie on in a different context than on a big movie theater screen with 3D glasses in January 2010, I started to realize what a lot of other people did. It's pretty boring and predictable. Every moviegoer is different, and some just like a movie with good vibes and stunning visuals. But man, I don't know. For a movie like this, the story feels so unambitious, and the amazing world doesn't do nearly enough to cover that fact up. Sorry to be that guy, but yeah, this film is just Pocahontas to me. It hits those exact same beats and doesn't strive to do anything different or surprising. I mean, it's a lot better than Pocahontas, but it's not like great. The message is obvious, it's unbearably heavy-handed, and like, the thing is, I could have maybe handled that if the characters were at least interesting. But they're really not. I kinda like Neytiri and Dr. Grace, but that's about it. The other Na'vi and the other humans are really forgettable. And that especially goes for the main fucking character. I don't care about him at all. His writing and Sam Worthington's performance are just really dull to me. Even when I first saw the movie at the age of 11 and thought it was amazing, I still couldn't help but think, yeah, this main guy, he kinda sucks. The world building is at least very cool. I mean, you'd hope it would be, considering that and the effects are why most people came to see this movie. I think they present Pandora and all its interesting concepts in a very cool way. And the idea of people going into Na'vi bodies to interact with the world directly is also super neat. Most of the effects look spectacular, even if there are a select few that don't exactly hold up. But even so, this is one of the most ambitious uses of CGI ever, so it can definitely be given some leeway. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I just can't say I like this movie all that much. And yet, I can't bring myself to be too harsh on it because, well, I respect it a great deal for fully realizing such a lush and creative world and bringing it to life with state-of-the-art effects. The Avatar universe is really cool. But for a movie like this, I just needed a hell of a lot more. More engaging characters, a story that wasn't just a surface-level depiction of colonialism and environmentalism. A movie with a world this good should not be this boring, man. I don't know. I'm not even mad, just disappointed.
And so now you're worried about the sequels that are coming out?
They're making more?
Avatar: The Way of Water is definitely an improvement over the original. It's okay. This is an interesting one for me because I was actually really into the first hour, and the third hour was pretty good as well. I just don't think the movie needed to go on for a third hour, but we'll get to that. I think this is a very smart and cool setup for a sequel. Jake and Neytiri have kids, and all seems to be well. But oh no, the humans are back, led by the evil Miles Quaritch, who died in the original. Except they uploaded his DNA and memories into an avatar, so now he's back. I mean, he's not a villain I really liked all that much and needed to see more of, but I think the way they go about bringing him back is such a cool sci-fi concept that I don't mind. I think he's probably more effective and memorable here than he was in the original. Plus, we find out his human son was left behind on Pandora, and he basically becomes like another kid to Jake and Neytiri. That's pretty cool too. His name is Spider, and I think that's funny. Oh, plus Sigourney Weaver plays the teenage daughter of her character from the previous movie, who was mysteriously born despite the mother's death in the previous film and with no knowledge of who the father was, and it is never explained throughout the rest of this film. That is so bonkers and unnecessary, but damn does it work. I couldn't even tell that was a 75-year-old lady playing a teenager. The magic of visual effects strikes yet again. All this setup and the initial attack on Jake and his family that prompts them to leave their home is surprisingly gripping. I liked it a lot. And then they get to this water village and start to learn the waterways, the way of water, and I'm sorry, I got bored again. The thing about all this downtime is that I would have been all for it if the characters were interesting. But once again, none of them stuck out to me. Except for the Sigourney Weaver kid. I was kind of intrigued by her seeking out and trying to form a connection with her mother. But guess I gotta wait till the third movie for that payoff. I don't know. The other kids, there's a little one. She doesn't really add anything. The one who probably gets the most focus is the boy who forms a connection with this whale. I mean, it was kind of cool and visually striking, but I don't know, still not all that interesting. I feel like I've seen this sort of plotline a million times in a million other movies. And then there was the older boy. I don't remember anything he did until the third act, which, yeah, that was a really good scene. But it's also really, really sad that that's the only thing I remember about him. Speaking of not having anything interesting until the third act, Neytiri, wife of Jake Sully, the deuteragonist of the first movie, remember her? Yeah, she's basically pointless throughout the entire first 2.5 hours of this 3-hour movie. She shoots a couple guys with arrows, and she has this one interesting scene with Spider towards the end. Considering she's one of the only characters from the first movie I kind of liked, I'm a little bit upset. But I guess we did have to focus on the boring kids, so whatever. Oh, and Jake Sully. Oh my god, I still barely got anything out of him as a protagonist. I think it's sometimes interesting when he adopts a militaristic tone when talking to his kids. That's kind of neat given his history. And I mean, like, I can understand and empathize with the basic desire to protect your family. I was rooting for Jake Sully to achieve his primary goal of keeping his family safe. That doesn't really mean I think he's a gripping protagonist to follow. I think the biggest missed opportunity in this film, however, has to be the relationship between Quaritch and Spider, their father and estranged son. And early in the film, Quaritch captures Spider and forces him to be his personal translator and help acclimate him and his crew to being Na'vi. I thought the movie was setting this up as a really interesting opportunity to contrast how Quaritch acts like a father versus how Jake acts like a father. But, they don't really do that. Quaritch and Spider barely share any scenes together in the middle chunk of the movie. And it seems like Spider is starting to warm up to the idea of helping him, even though I don't know why. 'Cause it's his blood father, I guess? Then Quaritch starts threatening to murder innocent Na'vi, and Spider seems entirely shocked by this. I just don't get what this kid's deal is. He's really underwritten, and so is his bond with his dad. There are some interesting scenes between them in the climax that would have been a lot more impactful and earned if their relationship felt real and well developed. Oh well, I guess. Visually, this film is a real stunner. Unlike the first movie, there are no shots that look bad. And like, damn, I thought Attack of the Clones had some amazing looking water, but there's no contest here. This water blows that water out of the, how's that saying go? I don't know, man, I forget. I do appreciate how this movie expands the Avatar universe with this new water tribe. And hell, even the humans have some cool new tech to play with. Like, damn, do I love those crab mechs. I don't think that comes as a surprise, but yeah, big fan of the crab mechs. I was definitely taken in by a lot of the gorgeous sights and sounds, and the action was pretty good as well. It's just, man, does a large portion of this film really drag. This is one of the most egregious examples I've seen of a 3-hour movie not nearly justifying that runtime. Some movies do. Sometimes it's okay for a movie to be over 3 hours, because there's enough substance to support it. But I'm sorry, I don't think this is one of those movies. The plot is basically the bad guys are looking for Jake. He and his family go to the Water Tribe. The bad guys find him at the Water Tribe. They fight. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's pretty much the broad strokes. And I don't think it's a plot that necessarily deserves to be stretched out for that long. If the characters or the world building were just extremely interesting and kept my attention throughout, then okay, I wouldn't mind the basic plot. But the characters are just so standard and unengaging. And the world building is cool, but not incredible. Not the sort of thing I've never seen before that makes this movie worth watching on its own. I think it's an okay movie, certainly an improvement over the original, but I am not lining up to watch Avatar 3 on opening night. I'm glad James Cameron is doing what he loves right now. He's pretty much gonna spend the rest of his life making Avatar sequels. And if that's what makes him happy, then that's great, and we shouldn't take that away from him. But man, do I miss 80s and 90s James Cameron. The guy who put out a consistent output of absolute bangers that didn't take a literal decade to make. Titanic is the 3rd most recent movie he's ever made, and it came out in 1997. Sure, he put out some documentaries in the years leading up to Avatar 1, but man, he's such a good director, and it really feels like a waste to only have him put out these Avatar movies that, yeah, are well directed and visually stunning, but just don't have engaging plots or characters to back those attributes up. I don't know, this is all from my perspective. Clearly these movies do have a very massive audience, and clearly this is what he wants to do, so that's fine. But maybe I'm a little disappointed because, aside from Avatar, and Piranha 2, but you know, that doesn't even count, James Cameron has never missed. All of his other movies are at the very least pretty good, with at least a couple exceptional elements in all of them. So why don't we crank that positivity knob up and start talking about the good shit now?